I take 3 weeks off and the gaming world gets set on fire. Xbox has laid off 1,600 people with another 1,600 to come throughout the rest of this fiscal year, and PlayStation has officially killed off physical media starting in 2028. So let's talk about it. Ever since Asha Sharma took over as the CEO of Xbox in February of this year, it was always said that soon enough, mass layoffs would happen. Layoffs are sort of an annual thing from Microsoft these days, but the significance here is that these layoffs will happen under new leadership and presumably will take Xbox in a new direction. In the lead up to these layoffs actually happening, rumors were running rampant about studios that were set to be closed or sold, and many different reputable journalists were using the term bloodbath to describe it. Now that we're a few days removed from these officially happening, and we have a better understanding of what actually went down, how bad is it really? I'll tell you, really fucking bad. I'll give a quick rundown as a refresher. South of Midnight creators Compulsion Games and Double Fine Productions, the studio behind Psychonauts and the recently released Kiln and Keeper, are going to continue as independent studios and will retain all of their IP. Creators of Hellblade, Ninja Theory, and the studio behind State of Decay, Undead Labs, will continue under new management who has not been named as of the time of this recording. Arcane Leon, the studio behind the incredible Dishonored series, and the hopefully upcoming Blade game that was revealed a few years ago, are in talks with Microsoft about their future as they deal with French labor laws that prevents any immediate action. And lastly, over 50 employees have been cut from Bethesda, 213 from ZeniMax, and 136 at id Software, the studio behind Doom, and roughly 25% of Obsidian Entertainment has been let go. The immediate reaction for a lot of people, including myself, was to recognize that 3,600 people laid off is a terrible thing to happen, but the fact that no studios were closed and no games were canceled, it could have been worse. And while that is still definitely true, there seems to be a growing sentiment online that Xbox did the best they could given the situation, and I think that is a really dangerous way of thinking. There should be no rationalization of a situation this dire, whether it could have been worse or not. It is very clear that changes were needed at Xbox. No one is saying that they shouldn't have made changes, and frankly, if I was playing Xbox CEO Simulator, I likely would have made many of the same moves. But that changes nothing about the fact that this is not something to be blown off and allowed to become normal. These devs are taking the fall for years and years of mismanagement by Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond, and I'm not sure there's a better studio to show that than id Software. This is one of Xbox's most consistent studios. They have an engine that makes even the cheapest of systems look like they run like absolute powerhouses, and they have created some of the best FPS games ever, including a trilogy of critically acclaimed Doom games over the past 10 years. This studio has done nothing but deliver, time and time again, yet they were hit with 136 layoffs, which accounts for about 70% of their studio. This to me reeks of an executive coming in that knows absolutely fucking nothing about the gaming industry and blindly hitting backspace on numbers on their spreadsheet. Studios like id are so unbelievably valuable. Are their games going to sell a gajillion copies and make billions off battle passes and microtransactions? No, but Doom and Quake are legacy titles that mean something to gamers across the world. Tearing apart that studio that makes those games that please your core audience does absolutely nothing productive outside of making the executives and shareholders more wealthy. A statement was released by id as I was recording this video that says they're back to the size they were when they made Doom 2016, which is both a ridiculous thing to read, but also slightly reassuring as they do have the resources and people to continue making their games. The future of Xbox is an extremely interesting one, and something I do want to make an entire video about, because with Game Pass, how they approach exclusives going forward, and the potential of their catalog, they do have an avenue they could go down that is quite bright, but they can also just as easily fuck it up. Right now is a very bleak time for Xbox, and from this point forward, they have no choice but to get things right. The only silver lining I can see from these rounds of layoffs is Obsidian is finally making a new Fallout game. Whether it's New Vegas 2 or it's Fallout 5, we will be there. On July 1st, PlayStation announced their plans to end production of physical games starting in 2028, a move that has been met with endless, justified backlash from their users. The reason I think this hits hard for so many people, even the people that don't buy physical media for new games like myself, is because of how quickly they did it. This is a move that I think we can all agree was inevitable, no matter how much we hate it. But the fact that I woke up on a random Tuesday morning, checked my phone, and saw that they pulled the plug without a single warning, without it being leaked whatsoever, it hit really hard. As someone that does buy digital, I've seen other people that do the same thing, saying things like, well, it doesn't affect me, but as many people have explained by now, it absolutely does affect you. PlayStation will now have a totally cornered market that they can exploit in literally any way they want to. They can charge as much as they see fit. They can go down the Nintendo route and stop doing sales altogether for their games. They can do everything in their power to milk every dollar out of our bank accounts as they possibly can. Not only that, but as they've recently shown by removing 500 movies from people's accounts, whether they bought them or not, they have the power to remove games from your library that you paid for and not give you a single cent back. There is no room to minimize the chance of these things happening or to adopt a, well, it won't happen to me mentality, because that will catch up to all of us and it will happen to you. Another aspect of this that just crushes me is the fact that the concept of a kid waking up on Christmas morning or sitting down to open his birthday presents will never have the experience of opening that game that he's been dying to play. I will never forget the moment on Christmas of 2010 when I ripped the wrapping paper off to see my parents had bought me Black Ops 1. That is dead now. Midnight releases haven't been what they were for years now, but they are now well and truly dead. These experiences that we all had as gamers growing up are dying, and it's all because of a blog post on a random Tuesday morning. It's shitty, it's anti-consumer, and it's another step closer to what seems like an inevitable crash for this entire industry. Also announced on that random Tuesday morning is the closing of the PS3 and PS Vita stores in the summer of next year. Admittedly, this is the thing that hit even closer to home for me. The first video I ever posted on this channel is about my love for the PlayStation 3 and the role it still plays in my life today. I actively buy games for it. I spend a considerable amount of time playing those games on it, both physical and digital. These storefronts closing will do real damage to the accessibility of both existing users and people in the future that want to be able to play older games on the original hardware. And the natural reaction to that is just buy the physical version, but sometimes they're just too expensive or they're too hard to come by. The storefronts closing is another inevitability, and it's something that I can understand a bit more, but that doesn't stop it from being genuinely devastating for me as someone that grew up loving the PS3. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hilariously, I've left things out. The Xbox price increase, the Steam machine's terrible launch. These things I can talk about, but I feel I need to pace myself when it comes to bad news because it can get me really down, especially when it comes to video games. I love the art form so much. It actually affects me. It sucks. But apologies for the break in videos there for the past couple weeks. I am going to be moving soon at the end of July. I'm going to be starting a new job in August, so the videos may be a little less consistent than they have been this year, but don't worry, I'm never going to leave this. I'll always want this outlet to talk about games. So, yeah. Again, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.